Hi there, it's Jan here from JB Crafts. Thank you for joining me today. Now, it is Tuesday today, and normally I do my Technique Tuesday series of tutorials, but I thought we'd just change it up a little bit this month. And bearing in mind, a lot of people do stamping during September, which we're now into, I thought I would join the band. And the main decision behind this is this particular tool. I am absolutely, I'm still in shock about this because this was sent to me by a crafty follower and it's come all the way from the United States. And I am a little bit overwhelmed because the box was absolutely jam-packed full of goodies, including the Misty stamping tool, which is something I've always dreamed of owning. But those of you that follow me know that I use my Tim Holtz stamping platform. But yeah, this arrived in a box with lots of other goodies, which I'll show you throughout the course of different videos. But if you're watching, I'm not actually going to name the person, but they know who they are. And if you're watching, I cannot give the biggest thank you, honestly. And I have had a chance to have a little play with this, and we're going to use it in the video today. And my goodness, it is absolutely amazing. So it is just a stamping platform. You know, we've all got different stamping platforms. I believe this is I think this is the smaller one. I'm not sure whether it's they do two different sizes in it, and it comes with different colours. I've seen them with black on and a pink on, and the teal, honestly, absolutely love it. So yeah, it literally works very similar to my Tim Holtz one in that the door opens up, and it came with these pieces inside. It has got a piece of foam that's probably 2 or 3 mil thick in here. And then it's got a little grid pattern paper padding, which I've left in for the time being. And I think I'm going to treat myself. I know you can get a grip mat that fits in here to help hold your cardstock in place. So I think now I actually own this. I think I'm going to treat myself to the grip mat. It's got the most amazing magnet in there. It's probably one of the strongest I've ever come across. And then literally you just close your door and it will stamp out perfectly. So we're going to do a little bit of stamping today, and the next 4 Tuesdays are all going to be based around stamping. Now I've kept it very, very simple for today. We're just going to do some stamping, simple stamping, and some alcohol colouring to go on my card. And this is what we're actually going to be making today. Let me just grab the card itself. So nice and straightforward. I've incorporated a little bit of a technique because it's got a shaker element in the back there. Don't like to go mad with these because it makes the camera go berserk. But yeah, I've just made sort of like a faux Polaroid frame, which I'll talk you through how I've made, and put some shaker pieces in the background. And then this is the stamp set that we're actually going to use. Now this was also in my gift box full of goodies that came all the way from the States, and it's a Catherine Pooler ink stamp set, which is something I've never owned. I know this is an American brand. I've watched lots of YouTubers using Catherine Pooler, and I've also seen that she does an ink range, and there were also some of those in my gift box. And I'm not kidding, it was jammed full of goodies, crafting goodies. So yeah, the thank you, as I say, cannot be big enough. But this was one of them, and I just loved all the little critters on here. It's like I've only used one of them today. I've used the little bunny that's skipping, but you've got the little tortoises blowing bubbles here, and then you've got the little mouses hula hooping, a couple of other little critters on there, and it's actually called School's Out stamp set. Some nice sentiments. I've used a couple of these. I've used this one on the front, make time for some fun today, and then I've actually stamped the so glad you're my friend inside. Little accessories. We've got the skipping rope here, we've got the little tub of bubbles, really, really cute characters on there. And it also came with the dies to go with it as well. So I've actually got the metalwork just in my pot here, and there are dies for all the little characters and the extra pieces, not the sentiments. We've got them for the tortoise there. I'm going to use this one for the rabbit today, and as I say, the other little critters in there. And we've got the skipping rope, and then you've got the little bubble part in here. So we're actually going to need the skipping rope here and the little bunny for ours today. So I'll just pop the others back in the bottom of my tub there. So yeah, that's what we're going to be working with, and I'm going to do some stamping first. Now I've just realised the only thing that I didn't get out was some stamping cards. So let me just have a little quick rummage in my supplies here. I'm sure I have got some in my scrap card box. Just bear with me a second because I'm going to need that to stamp on. I realised that I'd got everything else out. I do usually keep my Nina card stock. That will probably work. This is all my white scraps, mainly the smooth cardstock, but I keep them all in these pockets just so that I can grab them off the side of my desk for sentiments and things like that. So this is one that I've done in the past, which will just hang on to him. You never know when he might come in handy. And we'll use the Nina to stamp on. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp and colour today. There's only very minimal colouring with the alcohol inks. And then I'll show you how I've put the card together using some papers from a really old paper pad, grabbing some scraps out of my scrap bin just to lighten it up a little bit, but I wanted it to be relatively neutral, and I'd gone for a paper that was a similar tone to the bunny that I've coloured. And then inside I've just stamped that second sentiment and added a little heart in there. So really straightforward, not difficult to do. It's just under a 5x7 card, not quite 5x7, so I'll go through that in a second. But the first thing we're going to do is get into that stamping. Seeing as these have got a stamping focus on these videos, I want to get into that stamping. So I'm literally just going to pop my cardstock down in that bottom corner and anchor it with that magnet. As I say, it's very strong. And then I need my stamp set, and we're going to take the little rabbit, the little skipping bunny from the middle here, and I want the skipping rope. We're just going to stamp those two out. And because I'm using my alcohol markers, I am going to use an alcohol ink that's friendly to the alcohol marker. So this is an alcohol proof ink by Spectrum Noir. So we'll pop him on there. I think there's enough room to fit these on. It is just a little scrap, but I don't need much more than that. So we're going to put the bunny on there and the little skipping rope on there, and that leaves plenty of room to cut those out. And then we're going to close the platform door, pick up the stamps, and then just make sure that this is nice and secure in that corner. And then I am going to bring in my ink and ink up those little stamps there. And then we're going to close the door like so, give it a press. And these images stamped out perfectly the first time. Just look at that. So yeah, whereas I often do a second print, absolutely fine. Absolutely love the way that those have come out. And then all I do is just tend to give them a little tiny clean over with my cloth here. And then we'll pop those back on the carrier sheet so that they don't get lost. So bunny can go back. Ooh, and they are photopolymer stamps as well. They're really nice and thick. Pop that one on there, and then they can go back together. So we're finished with the ink. We'll take my card out of here now, and then we're going to do a little bit of colouring. So that's my Misty in action. I'm just going to pop that down to one side for a second. I am going to grab a piece of scrap card just to rest on for the colouring. And as I say, I've kept it very simple. I just chose, I think we have 4 colours altogether. We've got a vintage blue, and there's just a tiny little bit of blue on there. I have got pale pink, and again just for highlights, and then the bunny was done in brown grey, and I've also got an ice grey blend as well. So those are my chosen colours. 3 of them are tri-blend pens. The other one's a tri-blend brush marker, purely because my grey tri-blend is running out and I have the same colour blend in a brush marker. So that's the only reason why they're different pens. So we're going to start with the brown grey, and I am going to leave the colouring in this one. I often sort of speed through or do this in advance, but it was just a small amount of colour that I thought we would actually leave this in. So I am going to go round the main part of the bunny with the brown grey, and just lay down that lightest tone. And with these pens, with the tri-blends, you get 3 tones of the same colour family. So I've started with the light one, and then I'm going to flip round to the other end, which is the darkest of those 3 tones, and just add a little bit of shading. And I like to sort of do this as I go along, because the alcohol does evaporate and it will blend better before the alcohol's evaporated. And because I work in my craft room, things tend to dry very quickly in here. So again, I'm just going to add a little bit of that lighter tone, and I'm just taking sort of areas at a time rather than doing the whole thing. So we're going to do the head, and then it just comes down into the body there. Little circular motions to get that ink down. And then again, I'm going to flip round to that dark one and just add in some shading where I think there would be a shadow on the little character. And you know, if you're new to colouring, these smaller stamps are ideal as a starter. Rather than tackling something too big, these are great just for starting out with. And I'm only using the 2 blends today because it's such a small space. I am literally just using the 2 blends. So I've got the lightest one and the darkest one, and I'm just blending them out so that we've got that nice sort of blend inside there. So we've got his little arms and hands there holding the skipping rope. And again, tiny bits of that dark blend. And then we're going to do the same round the bottom of the legs. So keep going back to the lighter one first. And then we're just going to add that shading in with 1 darker blend. Now normally I would use a 3 pen blend, so I would use the light, the medium and the dark. But like I said, because it's only a very small area, I find that the 2's enough, to be honest. And it does make it a little bit easier to manage. You've basically got light and dark. You don't have to worry about those sort of mid-tones. Again, I'm just going to bring in that darker one and add a little bit of shading. And then blend that out with my light one then. Again, just adding a little bit of the light up to the edge, just so that it blends it out. Now I did actually just pop out the line a little bit there, so I'm going to grab my blender. This is just a clear one, it's got no colour in it, and just push that bit back through the card, which is why it's good to have some scrap underneath. You can just push the colour through, right through the card, and you'll see on the back there, you can see where that's starting to saturate the back of the card. And if it doesn't quite go through first time, you can have a second application, and it will literally just push it back through to the back of the card. So that's my brown done. Then I'm going to go with the pink, and we're going to do inside the ears with pink. So I've got my lightest tone there. This is just pale pink, and I'm going to do the little paw underneath there with the pink. And again, I'm going to go to the darker one and add in just that little bit of shade in there. And then we are going to go to the grey, and again I'm just going to pop that little tiny bit of accent and the tummy. I didn't want too many different colours on this one. Pop to the end again and just add, in fact I think I only went to the mid-tone in this because these are actually, yeah, a bit darker. So just to that end, and then blend it back out again with the lighter blend. So I'm just sort of nudging the edge of it and getting that ink to sort of mix together. And then I'm going to bring the pink back in, the very palest pink. I'm going to give his cheeks a little tiny blush there. I just think with these little cute characters, they look so cute with the little blush cheeks. And then the blue, I've got the skipping rope in here, tiny little bit showing. And then I'm also going to do the ends of the skipping rope on this one just to match the blue. And I picked the blue because I've chosen a bit of scrap blue and scrap pink to highlight my my base card. So again, we'll go to that darker one, and I'm just going to come from underneath that handle there and add a bit of shading, and the same on this side. And that's about it. As I say, nice, simple, straightforward colouring today. So that's the 4-pen blend. We'll get rid of those. And you can see now it's got the little skipping rope, and then we've got our matching die set to cut them out with. So I want a little bit of low tack tape to get those in place, and then the dies have got the cutting edge right on the inside, which I like because you can see exactly where you want to put these. So I'm just going to make sure that I can see, and the skipping rope lines up beautifully so we can see right in there and get that position perfect. I can see the black lines inside there, and once I'm happy with that, I'm going to stick that down. And then the same with this one, we're going to do the same on here. So we've got that 2 handles, and I can see the black ink through the die. Pop that one down, and then I'm just going to bring in my mini with my plate there, and we'll pass those through my little mini die cutting machine. Now I've worked on Nina cardstock here, which is slightly lighter weight than what I normally do, and more often than not with my embellishments I tend to back them, double them up so that they've got a bit more substance. I'll sort that bit out afterwards. So take away the waste, and you can just see how gorgeous they actually cut. Really, really pretty. So what I did was just cut a couple in scrap cardstock here, and I'm just going to layer those up. As I say, it just gives them a little bit more substance. So I'm going to pop a tiny bit of wet glue. It doesn't need a lot, just a tiny bit on the back here of the one that I've coloured, and then layer these, just stack them to create a bit more substance there. So I'm going to put this one on here. They're so easy to line up when you've die cut something like that. Just make sure that everything's lined up. Oops. And then give it a little squeeze. And then I'm going to leave those to dry while we work on the card. So I'm going to bring my block in and just pop those under the block. And then the same with this one. We'll do the same thing. We'll add a little bit of glue. And I'm just using my PVA glue with my fine tip applicator. It's a nice quick grab glue, this one, so it's ideal for this kind of thing. And then again, just line them up on here. Just get them all in the right place. Give it a squeeze, and then, as I say, we'll pop that under there to dry. So that's my embellishments done. So as far as the card is concerned, I've got some layers and some scrap. And like I said, my card is just shy of a 7x5. I just trimmed it down slightly for the papers that I'd chosen to work with. So I've got a 6 3/4 by 4 3/4 inch card blank, and we're going to have that open on the book fold like normal. And then I've got a matte layer. Now I really struggled to find something that I wanted to use. I've got a slightly different pattern paper. It's from the same paper pad, but a slightly different tone on this one. And I wanted something that complemented it, but that wasn't a massive contrast. And I really struggled with it. So all I've done is taken a piece of scrap card, and then I've actually used that same brown grey that I coloured the bunny in with my brush marker, and the mid-tone I've literally just coloured around the outsides of the cardstock and made my own background for it that we're going to mat this one onto. So this one measures 6 by 4 inches. So we're going to pop those two together. We can get those ready with the all-purpose glue. So literally pop this one first. And then I've went through my scraps and just chose a couple of pattern papers to add a bit of colour, because I'd kept everything really neutral. I wanted just that pop of colour on it to break up these neutral shades. So we're going to put that one on there like so. just pop those over to one side for a second. Bring my card base back in shortly. And then what I've done is I've just got a couple of scraps. I wanted to sort of bring in some colours, basically to echo that colouring that we've just done, which is where the blue came from the skipping rope. We've got the pink highlights in the bunny. So they literally are scraps. I've got one piece that measures 5.5 by 1 1/4, and we're going to pop that one down first. And then I've got a full length piece that measures 6 by 3/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to lay these down like so, just to add some interest to that left hand side of the card. So again, I can use that same glue here just to get these in place. And I want to sort of make around about the same gap here at the top, the bottom, and that left hand side, and we'll just get that nice and straight on there. And that one ended up that length because that was the length of the scrap that I pulled out of the box. This was actually a longer piece, so I've gone the full length of the card with the pink. So yeah, no other reason than that. And I want this one to run level with the top and bottom of the card, and I'm using the edge of that blue to get that nice and straight. Okay. And then we're going to work on our focal point. But just before I do that, you've heard me say this many times, that when I've worked with something vertical, I like to cross the horizontal. So I thought, right, we'll bring some twine in. And again, I've dug through my stash, and this, I've had this ages. It's actually by Creative Expressions. I don't even know whether they still make it. It's metallic baker's twine. And this one was at the bottom, was a nice neutral tone. So what we're going to do is pop a little bit of glue just on the back here, like so. And then I'm going to wind some of this round, but I want to leave enough to tie a bow. So I want it to be around about there. And then I'm going to go, I'll use the paper as a guideline, round a couple of times, and then bring this one back to tie. So we'll chop that off now that we know how much we need. I'm going to bring my inverse tweezers in there because I'm going to tie a knot in here like so. I just want that bit to go above so that we're on the same line. That's it. And then I want my bow over to this left hand side here, so I'm going to start about there, and then what I do is just use my inverse tweezers to hold that in place while I tie a little knot. Make sure that that twine's actually secure. There we go. And then I can pop my bow in there now. So we've got a little bow in the middle there. Well, I'm saying in the middle, just off to the left hand side. And then I want to just make that a wee bit smaller. And that's just going to be that focus on that left hand side there. And then trim the edges of that off, and we're good to go. So now I've done that part, I can actually stick it onto my card. So I'm going to bring that all-purpose glue back in and just go around the back of there, and I often just a little bit along the twine as well, just to keep everything in place. And then this is going to nest nicely on the front of the card. So that's my background done. We'll leave that one to dry. So I'm going to bring my other larger block on there now, and we'll pop that to one side. And then for the shaker element, I've actually made my own sort of little Polaroid frame here. So I've got a one that measures, I think, let me just double check, it was 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. So I've cut the rectangle and then just used one of my square nesting dies to cut the window out. And then in the back of there, I've applied some acetate on the back. And I've just realised somewhere I've picked up some glue. So I'm just going to use my glue eraser on there, and I think that will actually tidy that up a bit. Yeah, there we go. I don't know where that's come from. That's it. And then on the back, I've got some foam tape on the back. So this is my Sticks 2. It's only 1 mil, but I didn't want much shaking going on, and my shaker pieces are flat, so there's plenty of room inside here for that to work. And then I've made a back to go on here with a little bit extra of that background paper because I wanted that to show through the window here. So this is going to go on the back to secure it. So what we're going to do then is take our liner from the tape. Now sometimes I do this before I add the shaker pieces and sometimes I do it after. There's not any consistency really, but if I take it off first, there's a risk of the shaker pieces sticking to the tape. And if I do it afterwards, sometimes the shaker pieces jump out. So yeah, it's a little bit of trial and error. It depends how mischievous the shaker pieces are being. So we'll go for it today. We'll take those off. And then I've just got some little flat shaker pieces here. I picked these up in the Works, which is one of our local hobby stores. £1 for the whole tub of these, and I just love the fact that they were all iridescent. So again, all I'm going to do is pop a few of these into that gap. I don't need masses of them. I just want enough to sort of cover the window there. We've got one that's decided it wanted to jump out. Look, pick me. And then I want to spread those out, make sure that we've got, yeah, I think there's plenty in there now. And as I say, they are totally flat, which gives me the opportunity to not have the tape too high. And then what I'm going to do is just pop that one over the back and secure all those pieces inside like so. So we'll give that a good press down. And then when we turn it over, we've got all our shaker pieces inside, and they've got that lovely iridescence to them, so it's sort of picking up the pink which will go with the bunny and the paper that we've picked. So that's my little shaker element. So we're going to bring, oops, still managed to get one escape, the card back in, and this is going to sit on the front here like so. So I'm going to go for some of my quick grab glue this time on the back of here and just cover the back because I want this to seal reasonably quickly. And whereas the all-purpose glue is fabulous, you know how much I love it, it does take a little bit longer to dry. So I want some of the pink showing, and I'm going to pop it about there and give that a nice press down. Okay, then we can bring our little cute characters back in, and I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of these. So I want to strip down the middle of the bunny, and then we just want some tiny little pieces. So I'll just trim this down, and we can pop this on the back of that little skipping rope here. So I'm just going to put one piece on there and one piece on this side, and I think that will be enough to anchor it like so. So again, we'll take our release paper off and add these on. Oops. There we go. And this one. So I want to pop bunny on the left hand side here like so, and then I want the little skipping rope up at the top of there just as an accent to offset my stamping at that side. So we're just about there. The only thing that I had left in my little pot of tricks was just, and this is actually a tag topper, it cuts out the two pieces here. So I've used one on the original card, I've just cut it in half, and I've got one for this one because I just wanted that extra little bit of detail in the side there to link that background colour back to the front of the card. So again, put some glue on there, and all I'm going to do is pop this one and tuck it up to the foam tape here, so about sort of a third of the way. And again, it's just linking this colour back in together. All right, so that's my design today for that first stamping video, concentrating on the alcohol colouring today. And I know it was only a little bit, but I didn't want to have a long video with regards to colouring. I wanted to focus on the stamping. I wanted to introduce that new stamping platform, which I'll come back to in a second. And again, if I bring this one in, when I've made my sample, the pearls come out. I've got some nice little neutral pearl gems there, and I've just scattered them across the image and down through the sentiment just to add that little bit of detail. And then inside I've stamped one of the extra greetings off that same stamp set inside, just so that I can write a message in there to the recipient. So that's my design for today. And again, if I bring this back in, it was introducing my new stamping platform here. So again, if you're watching, you know who you are. I'm not going to name names, but I just want, again, I can't say a big enough thank you. The box of goodies honestly was bigger than the desk, and I've got some inks in there to play with. There are some more stamp sets, there was some dies, there was some extra tools to work with the Misty. So yeah, absolutely spoiled. I feel spoiled to death. And yeah, the biggest thank you goes all the way out there over to the United States, and I hope that you see the video. I hope that you receive the thank you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some more videos with this throughout September, where we're going to focus on stamping. I think I'm going to bring in a little bit of watercolouring. I'm going to bring in my inks again with stamps. We're going to do a bit of yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my goodness, mine's gone blank. Yeah, I'll come back to that. Do you know, my mind's gone absolutely blank. I'm going to stamp and emboss. Resist is the technique I'm looking for. Yeah, I'll blame it on my age. Honestly, it had gone then completely. But the resist technique, where we do some heat embossing, stamping and heat embossing in the background, and then we'll use the inks over the top of it. And I might use some of those new inks that I've received in my gift box. So yeah, hope you can join me throughout the rest of September. So these will be the Tuesday videos through September. I've not given up totally on the technique Tuesday. I may bring that back in, but I've got some ideas for September and then through October and December. Obviously, we're getting to Halloween and Christmas and things like that. So we will bring Technique Tuesday back. There was a little technique in here with the shaker element today, so we've got that in there just for good luck. But yeah, if you've enjoyed watching today, give it a thumbs up for me. It helps with the channel, and I'll be back very, very soon with a new tutorial for you. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye now.